Hello everyone, and welcome to Higruashi When They Cry, Tatarigoroshi. Probably the final part. We're gonna try to finish the chapter today. It's been like a month since we did the last one. But what happened was Satoko pushed Keiichi off of a heckin' bridge and most likely murdered him. So I don't know where it could go from there. Probably just like police reports and stuff like that, but we need to finish this. I don't want it to go unfinished, you know? So. Sad music.
Can't believe Keiichi died of ligma.
Thank you for the resubbies. Yeah, I can't believe Keiichi died of ligma either. Can you believe it? Oh, heck, hydrate. Heck yeah. Before I have to talk a whole bunch. Thank you. The sad music of Keiichi dying. Yeah, rip Keiichi. Rip my boy. Huh? What? Okay. I have a relevant joke before I alert you. Do you know the main antagonist from the Mega Man X series, Sigma? No, I don't. But I feel like you're going to make a certain joke here. I have a feeling that you might make a certain joke that, you know, I think I know where this is going. My head was pounding. The sky was bright. Sigma is the fusion of Ligma and Sugma, yes. Yep. It was cold, too. It hurt. Each sensation I felt led to a new and different one awakening. When I came to, I was lying face first on a dry riverbed. So he's alive? He's alive! He's actually alive. Your body parts hurt a lot. Skin over a bunch of my joints was torn, turned blue or red or oozing blood. I could tell it was my bones that were in pain from the agony I felt whenever I moved. I looked up and saw how high the bridge from which I had fallen was. Considering I dropped from there, it was a miracle that I could open my eyes again. Right next to me was a broken upside-down car seat, which I guess some pranksters had brought here. Maybe this thing had it conveniently lying under me, allowing me to escape instant death. No way! Wow. Okay. Wow. The main problem in Mega Man X is no shit called the Sigma virus. People literally die from Sigma. Well, that's a shame. That's a darn shame, isn't it? When people actually die, huh? Miraculous. Of course, I didn't know whether this miracle was fortunate or unfortunate. I'd failed to die, and now I was still stuck in this insane world. How long I had been conscious for? The sun was high in the sky, so it only looked like 1 or 2 hours had passed. But my body's sluggishness didn't make it feel at all like a short amount of time had gone by. Mentally, it felt like I'd been asleep here for a decade. Ow. Ugh. The more feeling returned to my body, the more the pain flooded in. It hurt so much, it would have been better not to have been woken up. Needed to get to a doctor. Yeah. The coach's clinic. The term coach's clinic brought memories back one after another. Memories I wish I hadn't recalled. Setsuko was no longer on the bridge. She would have returned to Hinamizawa by now. She would put on some clothes, go to the clinic, get a checkup, report on how crazy I had seemed. Police were waiting for me without a doubt. This time, they would find out for real that I'd killed her uncle and arrest me. Or would they just send me to a mental institution like I thought they might? Still, I didn't care which it was. Please, someone stop all this pain. And boil me or cook me after that. Whatever you want. Began to walk unsteadily, just limping along. Went downstream and then through an animal trail, like path in the woods. I walked haphazardly, searching for a path I knew. Eventually, I finally came across a familiar road and set off towards the clinic. Not to my house, but to the clinic, which had treated me like a lunatic. It was hot and humid. There was no wind and the air was stagnant. For a while now, I'd been smelling the terrible stench of burned eggs, and it made my face scrunch up. Then, at last, I noticed something. I couldn't hear any cicadas. It was the first time I'd heard HEWWO be so utterly silent. When I thought back, it seemed like birds had always chirped in the morning. Kitties always cried loudly in the afternoon, and Higruashi rose up in the chorus in the evening. Always something to hear. I couldn't hear a single insect. The only thing I could hear was the rustling of the wind brushing the treetops. Higurashi when they don't cry. Yeah. I'd never experienced this sort of quiet before. Even the only sound coming from the trees lacked life somehow. The trees were yellow and many leaves were spread on the ground despite it being too early for autumn. Even the weeds that had been growing so persistently at the side of the road had yellowed, browned, and lost their vigor. Only the sunlight itself was of the June HEWWO I knew. Yet it seemed like the seasons had switched all of a sudden. Was he asleep for like months? No way. Looking at the fallen leaves and rotting weeds led me to spot a few small insects turned on their backs. They weren't moving. They were corpses. Looked closer to see insect corpses scattered all around. A child had collected them as samples and strewn them about. The stench. What was it? It was terrible. Like burned eggs. Burned eggs. Combined with all the bug corpses and leaves falling from the trees in summer. Someone sprayed herbicides or pesticides around here? Even at school we apparently fumigate. Call it pest disinfection or something, once or twice a year. I hadn't run into anybody despite how bright it was outside. It was mid-afternoon, yet it felt like I was sauntering around at midnight. Well, with this smell, nobody would want to be walking outside. Just what was this, anyway? There's no sound, no noise, not even a breath. HEWWO was silent. School would come into view right after turning this corner, and yet I couldn't hear any commotion at all. None of the shouts or grunts that children always made. It was simply quiet. Is he just deaf? Yeah, after he makes such a big deal about not being able to hear anything. About like, oh, it's so quiet. Have you ever thought that maybe the fall hurt your head? Maybe, just maybe. Just as pretending to ignore the silence had grown intolerable, I saw the school. And finally I heard something. It was the sound of a few trucks. There were a few very tall trucks parked in the schoolyard, idling. About 10 workers in raincoats were unloading things from their trunks. It was hot and humid even in my casual clothing. Unimaginable how unbearable that must have been. Then I remembered. School's rented from the Forest Service field office building, wasn't it? It wasn't strange at all for the Forest Service trucks to be doing some kind of work in the schoolyard. Besides, what did forest rangers do, anyway? Felt bad for them having to work in such heat, and with such a stench about. They were taking colorful cargo out of the truck and lining it up in the schoolyard. There were containers, fairly large ones, inside multicolored patchwork bags. Heavy, too. They were being carried in pairs. They lined them up very neatly, like tuna at a riverside fish market. Several dozens, hundreds of tuna were completely filling the fairly wide schoolyard up. I forgot my pain for a little while, captivated by this big forest ranger job I've never seen before. I stood there, watching in a daze. The people in raincoats working on the other side noticed me. One of them pointed me out, and they shouted a few things back and forth. But they might yell at me for getting in their way, so I decided to leave post-haste. Then, 2 trucks drove up behind me. I stepped aside as they entered the schoolyard. Kids covered their trunks, so I could tell they were completely full. As they passed, there was an awful smell that made me want to choke. It wasn't the same burnt egg smells before, but even worse one, like rotten crab meat. What on earth was it? actual corpses? I've been drowned in one terrible stench after another all day. Then certain white letters emblazoned on the side of the passing trucks caught my eye. Ground Self-Defense Forces. What? Self-Defense Forces? Like the army? Why was that army in the schoolyard? Hey you! Where did you come from? Suddenly, someone slapped me on the shoulders from behind. I turned around, and a canopied SDF Jeep was parked there. An SDF person had a green raincoat and gas mask like in the movies, carrying a compressed air cylinder. It didn't look normal. There wasn't an inch of exposed skin anywhere. Where did I... Ow, ow. I tried to talk, I stretched a wound on my head. Made the SDF people exchange glances. I couldn't see their faces through the masks, but they seemed surprised. You live in Higruashi? Can you tell us your name and address? Well, yeah, I sort of live here. My name is Keiichi Maibara. Oh, and my address? Blah 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 blah. Higruashi Village, Shishibone. After seeing me tell them name and address without hesitation, one of the SDF people watching from Jeep started talking into the radio. Base, do you read? Base, do you read? We have a 402 survivor detected. What? Wait. Survivor detected? Did all of Higruashi die or something? Like, well, like when the stench of eggs or whatever, I was like, did a bomb go off? Like a nuclear bomb, perhaps? Just killed everything in the radius? I repeat, we have a 402. We found a survivor. He's in front of the Forest Service office. This is base. We copy. Secure the survivor at once. What is his status? Healthy? Wounded all over, but not fatally. He can walk on his own. We'll send him to HQ for safety. I was prepared to go along with the police, but the SDF? Couldn't help but think it seemed a little bit much. They urged me to the back of the Jeep. Then they told me to put on this gigantic gas mask. I did so. One of the troops fiddled around with it, strapping it too tightly to me. It was heavy, hard to see out of, hot and difficult to breathe. Looking at the world through the lenses made me lose its sense of reality. The breathing sounded like some gigantic monster through the mask. At this point, I had no idea what was happening. With much trepidation, I asked the trooper adjusting my mask. Excuse me? Has something happened? Where were you? What were you doing? Hey, don't answer a question with more questions. I was the one asking you. I, fell from a rope bridge way back in the mountains. I think I passed out on the riverbed. I don't actually know what day it is. Today is June 22nd, 1983. Wednesday? That surprised me. I had to go push me off the bridge on Tuesday, the 21st. Okay, so it's been a day. Wow, that's like a week ago. No, he said the 22nd, right? It is the 21st. No, it's the 22nd. Yeah, it's the 22nd. And pushed me off. Oh, from now in real life. Oh my god, you're right. Wow, you're right. That meant I'd been asleep on that riverbed for an entire day. Forgive me for asking again, but did something happen? Why is the SDF here? Is it a drill? My question but that difficult for him? None of the troopers would answer me. The one in the driver's seat, talking on his own radio, turned on the vehicles. Turned on the dial and some broadcast station or another came in. Started to listen to the voice of a radio announcer I was familiar with. Was conducted at the Prime Minister's office. In regards to questions from the press that the SDF not responding to the disaster promptly was directly related to this unprecedented and unheard of catastrophe, Chief Cabinet Security Oko had this to say. And so I believe that once the SDF received dispatch order from the prefectural governor, they responded promptly. According to him, the SDF was prompt to respond to the crisis after receiving their orders. He implied that it was the prefecture's responsibility for taking too long to comprehend the situation. When did the governor who requested the SDF's dispatch actually become aware of the outbreak of such an unprecedented catastrophe? Did he not invite further damage because of the time lost before he sent the request for disaster relief? In other words, because of the bureaucracy? We are awaiting further investigation into the matter. That was Mr. Okuda reporting from the Prime Minister official residence. At this point, we can take another look at the political response following this disaster. In the middle of the night between June 21st and June 22nd, a large-scale disaster broke out in Hinamizawa village, Shishibone. Details have not been yet investigated, but there was some eruption of volcanic gas from somewhere in the Hinamizawa area. The gas was relatively heavy, and as it spewed out, it began to flow. That flow went down along a small river and headed directly into Hinamizawa village. After a few hours, it had covered the entire region. It happened in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock a.m. Yeah, the rotten egg smell was sulfur. Yeah. That's what I knew that rotten egg smell was some kind of chemical, but I forgot which one it was. Every home and household in the village was afflicted. Once the residents asleep, it is thought they all died without noticing the crisis. Catastrophe striking in the middle of the night caused its detection to come too late. But there was still one small opportunity to have noticed. 3 a.m. A news dealer shop in Okonomiya sent a vehicle carrying a morning newspaper to its branch office in Hinamizawa. Usually the shop would be contracted upon the vehicle's arrival, but this morning, that didn't happen. The news dealer's shop made repeated calls, but got no response. The shopkeeper sent his eldest son to check on things, but they lost contact with him as well. Extremely regrettable. They had contacted the police or fire department at this point. It's highly possible the situation would have turned out more positively. At the very least, it's possible that a portion of the village might have been saved from this tragic annihilation. 6 a.m. Residents in areas in the region began continuously calling 119 to report smell of rotten eggs, dizziness, nausea, headaches. Fire department received the same reports, all from the same confined region. A speculated truck loaded with chemicals may have gotten into an accident and reported it to the local police. 6:30 a.m. Contact with loss was with the patrol car on duty in the Hinamizawa area after an officer reported the smell of rotten eggs. Local police considered the possibility of a large-scale disaster involving highly lethal gas and reported it to the prefecture and prefectural police at 7:15 a.m. 8 a.m. The governor was traveling to nearby prefectures for inspection. In accordance with regulations, the prefectural environmental disaster prevention chief was provisionally escalated to Director General and set up a disaster countermeasures office. However, without contacting the governor, the countermeasures came too late. As has recently been pointed out by the citizens groups, his trip and honorary diet members to inspect other prefectures was based solely on good relations. It is rumored they preoccupied themselves with a drinking party. Sources closer to him claimed the governor had been drinking all night and had gone to sleep in a drunken state. Completely drunk when the environmental chief phoned him as well, and apparently he could not get him to pay any attention to the matter. It took about an hour for the governor to sober up, gain the understanding of the situation, and gather information. Though not as extreme as the governor's case, the environmental chief who became Director General in the governor's absence will likely also be questioned about his negligence. In addition, without any procedures in place on the prefecture's side that predicted catastrophes this massive, they would always react too late, and that ended up being fatal. 9:12 a.m. On the advice of the prefectural police, the governor requested a disaster relief mission from the SDF. By the time the chemical defense unit, equipped with the protective equipment, arrived on scene, 8 hours had already passed since the incident's outbreak. Whatever the case may be, it was unfortunate that this happened while everyone was sleeping in the middle of the night. If the same disaster occurred during the day, it would have been entirely different. All households in the Hinamizawa village region were wiped out. There were over 1,000 victims. The SDF is still confirming the situation on the ground. The results are predicted to only increase that number. Here with us in the studio today is Dr. Fujiwara, professor at Blank University, who is well acquainted with volcanic disasters. Doctor, can such a sudden and horrible outburst of poisonous gas actually happen? It isn't all unusual for this to happen right around craters, at least. Japan is a volcanic region, so has many active volcanoes. There's also a danger of hazardous gas around any of these craters. It's generally a rule among mountain climbers not to go near them. This really just came out of nowhere. I know, I agree. I don't know how I feel about this. It's like random. It's like, whoa, a whole disaster just happened. It'd be like if a zombie outbreak just happened. Like he woke up and there was a zombie apocalypse. It's that crazy, I'd say. Rocks fall, the party dies tier. Yeah. There's a, yeah. Does it mean the rotten egg smell that visited Higruashi village was the normal sort of gas from volcanic craters? Judging by how it smelled like rotten eggs, we think it was hydrogen sulfide, a gas seen particularly frequently in accidents compared to other volcanic gases. If it's dense, it becomes extremely dangerous. Higruashi village is very far from the craters of many volcanoes. Can hydrogen sulfide be generated even from a place not close to a crater? I don't know all the details, so I can't say anything concrete. But in other countries, there are records of gas eruptions due to magma buildup under hot springs. It's an extremely rare event, but it's possible for such a thing to happen even in a region not near craters. Thank you very much, Doctor. We appear to have an announcement from the Japan Defense Agency. Miss Morikawa, are you there? Yes, I'm at the Japan Defense Agency. The agency has just made an announcement regarding the source of the Higruashi village gas disaster. Analysis from the Ground Self-Defense Forces Department of Chemistry has found that the gas was a mixture of carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. Wait. Did somebody poison them? Miss Morikawa, do you know whether the gas is still erupting or spreading to nearby areas? According to SDF's 9th Division, who are currently engaged in a rescue operation at Higruashi village, gas density is steadily decreasing. They've announced that the damage will not spread. However, it does not change the fact that the surrounding areas are still in danger, and that a very strict observation must be maintained. That was Morikawa from the Japan Defense Agency. Now we have a report on the state of those who made to evacuate the Okinomiya area. Shimoshinozaki Elementary School is one of the evacuation sites, but we currently have a reporter on Wait, what? Said the jeep clambering and bouncing along the rough road, none answered my muttered question. An unprecedented catastrophe had destroyed Higruashi in a single night. Where was Higruashi village anyway? Some place deep in the mountains, right? Names of places I heard about on the radio were always like that. They were all places I've never heard of, much less knew the locations of. Wiped out? What does that mean? Don't they usually say how many died and how many were injured? How many people were alive? Where did everyone evacuate to? Eventually we came into view of Coach's clinic. First time I saw the flag of Japan hanging on pole outside. Japan's circular song hung down as though exhausted. Many SDF tents were set up in the clinic's big parking lot, and many strict security vehicles were parked there as well. When they saw a jeep coming, men in white clothing and gas masks came running out of the clinic, frantic, carrying a stretcher. You're gonna be alright. How do you feel? Can you walk? Yes. Ow, ow. Because of my owls, they forced me to lay on the stretcher anyway. People seemed like doctors were looking at me and notifying others of my condition via radio. Multiple wounds, high possibility of fractures and internal damage, large laceration in the head. Pupils normal, but even without bleeding from the fundus, brain damage is still possible. And then, from the clinic entrance, people lying on stretchers were brought outside to replace me. Judging by their clothing, they were from Higruashi. That's how I knew they were victims. They brought the stretchers in front of the truck. Two troops, holding shoulders and legs, like some kind of baggage, picked them up and threw them into the trunk. What? The trunk of the truck, people's bodies, piled in heaps. They were just like baggage. They told me they were already nothing but shells. At that moment, I remembered all those colorful sacks filling the trunks. All of them, lined up in the schoolyard like a fish market. Oh! Ouch! Ah, that, yeah, wow. New context. Wow. Hundreds of empty shells. Corpses. 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 You jackasses! Don't just throw the victims in like that! They lived here! Groups carrying the sacks answered me with a humble salute. A corpse party, even! Oh my god. This world didn't need this insane version of Higruashi. My final wish. Again, it was granted. Bruh! What? Huh? I didn't understand anything anymore. None of it mattered. I wished, I cursed, and then it happened the next day. And please, tomorrow morning, let me die. That insane night is still going on. Please, please end it already. Huh? Hey, he's lost consciousness. Shout his name. Quickly. My Barcoon. Can you hear me? You can hear me, just blink. My Barcoon! My Barcoon! My Barcoon! Suddenly, the world didn't matter to me anymore. I wasn't interested in their cries. His breathing stopped. His respiratory tract open. Use CPR. Make him live. Damn it, damn it. No more dead people. Nobody deserves to die. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. I could hear the voices of a man crying and screaming in my ears. Nobody deserves to die. Those words came from his heart. They were so commonplace. They soaked into my heart too. Maybe it was a mistake to take someone's life, even if it was to save Satoko. If this is the price I had to pay, this horrible tragedy, this is a little much, oh Yashiro-sama. Why? Why did you never punish me? Come to think of it, Satoko said something. The Yashiro-sama's actual curse never goes for the target first. It kills everyone they love before that. The Yashiro-sama's curse. Snake! 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 It was a convenient excuse I told myself at the very end. That it wasn't my curse that destroyed it, but Yashiro-sama's. Given that I was in a stretcher, this next bit might have been obvious. But last of all, I realized one thing. Yeah. I had not heard those footsteps following me. Even once. Suspicious. Okay. Now, I was liberated. Cries of the Higruashi I couldn't have been hearing filled my mind. The cheerful ensemble was the only funeral march I had. June 22nd, 1983, early morning. Widespread disaster occurred in Himizawa Village, Shishibone, Blink Prefecture. Volcanic gas, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen sulfide erupted from Onigafuchi Swamp, one of the Himizawa area's water sources, and spread throughout the entire village. There were 1,200 victims. 20 had gone missing. The catastrophe was unprecedented, forcing local governments to evacuate approximately 600,000 people. According to later investigations, magma pools and hot springs were uncovered directly under Onigafuchi Swamp, and that gas that gushed from it was determined to be the cause of the disaster. In addition, directly after the incident broke out, many came forth claiming the disaster was cursed based on Himizawa village legends, first sparking a wave of chaos. There was apparently local legends of a curse spreading a miasma, destroying the village, and some scholars believe a gas disaster may have happened in the past and remain part of these legends. More extreme periodicals suggested that this was an extension of the string of freak death incidents that have been happening in recent years in Himizawa village, stirring interest in theories about this curse of Yashiro-sama. In addition, relatives of those in Himizawa village who had escaped the disaster complained of sickness afterwards and were hospitalized. Some of them even died of unknown causes, further exaggerating such something. On top of that, several relatives professing to be possessed by Yashiro-sama's curse committed suicide in strange ways. The impact of the disaster has had on the entire nation can no longer be ignored. Wild visions of terrible toxic gas sneaking around the middle of the night killing people spilled across the country, causing a steady stream of people complaining of insomnia, difficulty breathing, headache, dizziness, etc. Some people who identified themselves as being obsessed by it began doing odd things. Most of these were mistakenly attributed by tabloid press, but afterwards some began to call the mental issues arising from the Himizawa tragedy as Himizawa syndrome. Himizawa village region, the object of all kinds of rumors and speculation, is currently closed off, and even flying overhead is prohibited. Prohibition was, at one point, undone as a result of decrease in gas density. That autumn, another gas burst was confirmed, leading to the area being coned off again. Word is that the area is sound asleep, all traces of its former life intact are left to rot. Only one survivor remains, Keiichi Maibara, age blank, who lived at blank Hinamizawa village. At the time of his rescue, he had some trouble breathing due to fluid build up in his lungs, but as a result of life-saving procedures, he was kept alive. Currently in a general hospital somewhere in the prefecture. The village had been asking for him for some time, but all interviews are being refused. What did he see in Hinamizawa? What happened between June 1st, 21st, and 22nd in Hinamizawa village? Today, he remains silent, unwilling to speak of it. Whoa! Great Hinamizawa Disaster Memoriam List. Tomitake, Takano, Oishi, Rika Furude, possibly murdered, possibly committed suicide, EDA. Hinamizawa Village Gas Disaster in Memoriam List. All the Sonozakis, all the Hojos, Maibara's parents, Chie. Oh my god. Kion Sonozaki committed suicide at the victim's hospital. Keiichi Maibara attempted suicide at the victim's hospital. Diagnosed with a severe mental disorder due to the disaster, is undergoing long-term treatment at the perpetual facility. What the heck? Higruashi When They Cry, serial murder novel mystery number 3. At least Teppei died. At least Teppei died, right? Yeah. Well, this was a wild chapter. What the heck? That was one of the endings of all time. Yeah, I agree, I agree. That is definitely one of the endings of all time. Higurashi, When They Cry. What the heck? The ending sucked. I'll say that. The ending sucked. Everything else was good. Oh, there's more. 2003, late summer. 2003, that's like 20, 30 years later. An elderly couple living in Osaka Prefecture discovered a cassette tape while organizing possessions of their son who had passed away 8 years ago. Their son went missing when his fishing boat capsized in 1995. He was 47 at the time of his death. 8 years later, in 2003, they had begun to organize their son's remains in order to organize their minds, and came across the cassette tape in question. From 1975 to 1989, the deceased had experienced working as a journalist for a photography periodical, and this tape is thought to have been created during that time. The label on the tape read, 11/28/1983, Keiichi Maibara. It's thought the tape was recording during an interview with Keiichi Maibara, the only survivor in the Great Hinamizawa disaster that occurred in June of 1983. The only person who lived through the disaster on the night of June 21st, shrouded in mystery. Many interested parties have attempted to question him. He never once spoke physically to anyone in a public place. Therefore, the tape caused quite a stir, possibly being an extremely high value. Click. Really hard to talk about this stuff when I know I'm being recorded. Please, don't worry about it. Here, won't be a problem if I do this, right? After this, the sound quality dramatically decreases. Did he cover the recording device with something? Well, let's get started. Here's my first question. Keiichi-kun, where were you on the night of the great disaster? I had gone behind the shrine, then took a path through the woods for a while. There's a rope bridge there. A little while before you get into the mountains. Fell from there and lost consciousness. This happened during the night of the disaster, between the 21st and the 22nd? No. It was the morning of the 21st, on Tuesday. Seems I woke up the afternoon of the next day. I think I was out for a day and a half. Why on earth were you there? I mean, I'm sure everyone wants to know, but the bridge you fell from that day, a weekday, I might add, was quite far from both your house and the school, wasn't it? I doubt Keiichi wants to talk about this stuff. Speaking frankly, there are some who say you knew of the great disaster beforehand and fell from the rope bridge as you were trying to flee the village. Oh, oh my god. What if they're like, oh, Keiichi, you made this happen. You did this. This isn't a joke. Please don't be so arbitrary about this. It's a terrible thing to say too. Please don't be offended. Yeah, if you say please don't be offended, then he definitely won't be, right? Anyway, about the rope bridge you fell from. It was right here on the map, right? The rope bridge beyond the back of the shrine and through the path in the woods. Probably. I never went over there, so I can't say for sure. Guess I just want to know why you were out somewhere you'd never been before on a weekday morning. Dots. Then, well, about the riverbed you fell unconscious on. Have you heard the rumors about that being impossible? Impossible? That word. Again. 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 A little while, Keiichi Mayabara mutters the word impossible several times. Why would it be impossible? No, volcanic gas originated in Onigafuchi Swamp. Some scholars did pretty delicate simulations and modeling and discovered something very interesting. Volcanic gas was heavier than the air, so it went along the ground, flowing into lower and lower places, kind of like what water does. So Onigafuchi Swamp as its source, they were able to test how much time it would take for the gas to erupt and spread across the whole village. So, well, that riverbed you were unconscious on, the gas would have flowed down there. I don't really understand what you're getting at. In other words, if you really passed out on that riverbed, you would have been in the middle of all the toxic gas that was spreading everywhere that night. It means there was no chance you could have passed out there. What? Allow me to be a little more frank. I think that maybe you might be telling a lie. Bruh, we saw from his perspective, he freaking woke up in the middle of the freaking place that he fell from. What the heck? During a great disaster, you were hiding in a safe place, keeping an eye out for when the gas got thinner, then reappeared and were secured by the SDF. How about that? Is that right on the mark? For a short time, the journalist presses Keiichi Mayabara further in a teasing way, but all that can be heard are heavy sighs. Even if that was the case, I shouldn't be surprised at this point. What do you mean you wouldn't be surprised? Was this recording really taken of Keiichi Mayabara? Some harbor suspicions. You said it before, didn't you? That it was impossible? Possible things happen in Himizawa all the time. The people who shouldn't exist. Dead people end up alive. Not really that unusual. Never thought I, of all people, would be asked to prove that I was still alive when I was supposed to have died. Oh my god. The journalist and Keiichi Mayabara both laughed for a while. To verify his authenticity, I had others in the Mayabara family check tapes with his voice in it. However, the sound was not clear, and much time had passed, so the relatives I checked with couldn't remember what he sounded like. I was unable to give positive proof it was actually Keiichi Mayabara's voice. Alright then, I'll change the subject. What do you think about the debate whether this disaster was the curse? 5th year of the serial freak death incidents in Himizawa. I don't think it was. I was the curse that year, after all. What do you mean? What do I was just answering the question. Doubts also remain regarding the date 11/28 written on the tape. Curse, well, you probably won't believe me. The curse, well, you probably won't believe me when I tell you this. I was the one who caused it. I was the one who wished for the whole village to die, and it happened. What an exciting story. Exciting? Suppose you could call it that? After Keiichi Mayabara's failed suicide attempt on a certain August day 2 months after the disaster, he was diagnosed with a mental disorder and transported to a treatment facility. I was the one who killed Takano-san and Coach and Oishi too. At the time, I had some kind of divine power. Yes, I suppose it was like footsteps. Footsteps? Wait, what is that supposed to mean? You have never heard footsteps before? Tip tap, click click, coo coo coo. The facility never allowed any news coverage, so it is extremely unlikely that a tape from the media dated after August 1983 would have his voice on it. Today, when you were walking around, try stopping suddenly. Something very interesting will happen. Anyway, you get an extra footstep, even though you'd already stopped walking. You'd be careful, you know? Yes, I'll be careful. Is what I'm saying really that funny to you? However, the reporter had been criticized for his forceful methods of collecting data while he was active. There is still a possibility he broke into the facility and forced Keiichi Maibara to talk. You've been doing nothing but laugh in my face this whole time. You're just like Coach. You pretend to sympathize with me, to listen to what I have to say. Your eyes are telling me you think I'm a lunatic. That's not true. If that's not true, then stop hecking laughing, huh? No, I can tell. Your eyes are just the same as Coach's. Is this truly Keiichi Maibara's voice? The authenticity of this recording is still wrapped in mystery. I never heard the footsteps again after that day. I don't think I have that terrible power anymore. Perhaps, right here, right now, I wish for you to die. I wish for your death, for saying all these unpleasant things. Yes, this time, why don't I decide how you die? Takano-san was burned to death, so... Let's go with the opposite, with water. I hope you drown and die. How's that? Dude, Keiichi's... Keiichi's off the freaking rails, man. And he did die. 15 years after the tape was created, the reporter, just as Keiichi Maibara had predicted, died in an accident out on the sea. If I'm in top form like I was then, you'd die before tomorrow morning for sure. Now then, I wonder how many days it will take for you to drown. You better be careful, you know. Don't go getting yourself killed by me. By some stupid curse I put on you, okay? The recording ends in the middle of Keiichi Maibara's laughter. Keiichi Maibara? What about him? What? Late on the night of 11/30/1983, 2 days after the interview, suddenly died from a high fever. Records remain of the strange words he kept giving after pressing the call button before he died. An extra set of footsteps. What's with the freaking child laughter? I think they were saying that year because we went forward in the future to 2003. New scenario has been unlocked. All cast review session has become available. To play it, press extra on the title middle, then all cast review section. Okay. The Great Hinamizawa disaster. No, they said that year in the tape. Which was recorded in the same year. Well, we aren't for sure that that tape was real. We aren't sure that that was taken during that year, I guess. They said the curse of that year. Yeah, I don't know. But we're just gonna keep going and do the all-cast review session now. We can finish this now. We can finish this now! Sussy. I know, extremely sussy, god. So incredibly sussy. I'm just freaking confused at this point. I'm less horrified and more confused, but I do love the imagery of like an extra set of footsteps behind you. Like, I'm like a super paranoid person, right? So I always feel like if I'm walking down a hallway or something, someone's following me. So, you know, I can kind of relate with the extra footsteps, you know? Except, it's usually an extra shadow that I see, you know? You turn around and you see a shadow there, but there's really nothing there. It's wild. It's freaking wild. Okay. I'll cast review session. Everyone's alive! Yay!
Thank you very much for enjoying Higruashi When They Cry Chapter 3, Tatarigoroshi. How did you like it? Had a different sort of atmosphere than the previous chapters. I would be very happy if you enjoyed it. A bad ending again. A type which we're so fond of, huh? Personally, I wanted to get a scene of the gas coming in, the villagers spasming and foaming at the mouth one by one before dying. Do you all think so too? Of course I do not think so. Again. It happened again.
A huge bad end. Coo.
Huh? Hey, Chan, you sure seem happy about the bad end.
Well, it's more like we can honestly do all this. All we can honestly do at this point is laugh. The terrible endings have been escalating through each chapter, and it finally reached a culmination, I suppose.
Everyone died together as friends. As friends, Nipa.
I guess you could say that. I die every time though, and I'm a little tired of it. Oh my god. It would be nice to have an ending where I didn't die once in a while. VampyTK-san, you're kind of like a news reporter. When you die, it's like, oh, we're in the second half now. Jesus, they're true though. Kind of.
Okay. Now, here are all the new character portraits that debuted this chapter. Everyone give a big round of applause. First is Coach, Irie Kosuke-san.
I'm honored to have your introduction. Hello there. I was a minor character, but having a full portrait like this makes me feel really important.
It's true. You had too many appearances and too much dialogue to be a minor character this time.
I don't know if I'll appear in the next scenario, so please root for me.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Chie-sensei, who has been around since chapter 1 but never had a portrait until now.
Hello there, everyone. They've had me appear in school scenes ever since the first chapter, but for whatever reason, I didn't have my own portrait. I wonder why.
Yes, I wonder. Oh, someone give Chie-sensei a seat, please.
Okay. Now everybody is here. Rena, you can do the honors again.
Okay, everyone. Please pick up the cup nearest to you on your table. There are plenty of different drinks.
These after parties have really gotten lively. How many do we have here now? Including us, I think there are about 10 people. Now we finally have the same number of minors and adults. We can all drink without being ashamed. Speaking of beer, how is it something so delicious when cold turns so bad when warm? One of the 7 wonders of the world, I say. It's not that spooky. I mean, ice cream is good when cold, but bad when warm. I wonder why. Okay, I'll pour some beer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Huh? There were 6 adults here?
Beep. I would like foamy barley tea as well. Rika-chan, you can't drink.
Anyway, Renaissance, let's get this moving.
Well, okay. Can I have everyone's attention, please? Alright, everyone. Excellent work on the Tatarigoroshi chapter. Cheers! Cheers!
Yay! Clap, 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 clap! Yay, yay, yay! Can you hear my clapping? No, you can't, can you? Yay! Pachi, 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 pachi! Okay then, let's get down to our traditional plot discussion.
Still though, this chapter just confused us yet again. Well, if anyone has an opinion, please raise your hand.
Wow, everyone's being so discreet. No hands?
Then why don't I break the ice? Oh, excuse me, could you change the music, please? Something a little more mysterious. Yeah, that's good. The mood has been set. Alright, Takano-san, take it away. I think that just by poring over the Tatarigoroshi story, the mystery won't be revealed. I know what you mean. Obviously, that's how the stories have been set up. Was there something like that in particular? I don't know if I'm right, but in Onikakushi, when Maibara-kun was eating in the restaurant with Oishi-san, Sonozaki-san found out, and it was a little mysterious, right? It was certainly mysterious, just in Onikakushi, but after reading Watanagashi, a few things made a lot of sense. When I mentioned a restaurant with cute uniforms during the story, it must have meant Angel Mort. And Angel Mort is owned by the Sonozaki family, so... Someone who knew Kei-chan was there too, and told me, it actually makes a good amount of sense, right? That's what we mean. There are subtle differences in the Higurashi stories, but I think there are 3 facets that are the same for each. Character settings, for example. I was scary in Onikakushi, but that wasn't because it was Onikakushi. It was because my character was the exact same in all 3 stories. Is that it? Huh? I agree with the characters being exactly the same. The most extreme case being me dying in the same way in the same place every time. No matter which story it is, you always die on the same day. There's a scene where, during Watanagashi, Takano-san and Tomitake-san sneak into the rituals and implement Storehouse. Same scene may have still happened in the other stories, even though it wasn't portrayed. Exactly! Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I think it still happened. Save for a few events, the weather the day of the festival, what we did in the club, Satsuko's uncle coming home, it's almost all the same.
Which means we have a bunch more questions. The stories are told in the exact same environment each time. Why do they end up being so different? We think in general sound novel type way, sometimes the story branches depending on choices, right? So like, if in Watanagashi I've given the doll to my sister? An unavoidable bad end from a choice so early on. That's pretty scary.
Well, in Tatarigoroshi, maybe whether you decide to kill the uncle or not. I think it was the way before that. I think it branched back when the uncle's lover disappeared because of some trouble when he returned to Hinamizawa. Then what was the first branch in Onikakushi?
I think it was when Ice appeared and started talking about the serial freak death incidents related to Yashida-sama's curse.
You know, I just thought of something. If Keiichi-san gave the doll to Mion-san, and if Oishi-san and my uncle hadn't appeared, would we not have spent our time in peace without anything happening?
I see. Satsuko's gotten right to the point. You're right. You could say that again.
Then maybe we should pray Oishi-san and her uncle don't show up in this dark story. Then if we can prevent Sonozaki-san from getting in a bad mood, everyone will be happy.
Yay, big sis, you're needed for the bad ending! Be careful, everyone. If you make my sister mad, you're gonna get a bad end. What are you saying, Shion? Next time I'll pound nails into you without mercy. Bang, bang. Just you wait.
We can't solve any of the mysteries thus far, but we can seem to have put together a plan for how the story to end happily.
I wonder if that would really make us happy. Oishi-san, Teppei Hojo-san don't show up. Mion-san gets the doll. Is that all we have to do? We have to make sure of? You're right. We're all forgetting the most important thing. Remember the great Hinamizawa disaster?
We cannot prevent natural disasters. Should we have everyone in the village put on gas masks and move away? It's probably Oyashiro-sama's curse. And we need to make sure not to make Oyashiro-sama angry.
This is getting a little tricky. We mustn't anger Oyashiro-sama, huh? What should we do in order to prevent that, huh?
The dam project itself was probably out of the question.
Maybe if there was never a dam project in the first place? That would be hard. If it didn't happen, we would need a ritual to quell Yashiro-sama's anger. Sinking a sacrifice into Onigafuchi Swamp? A ritual sacrifice?
A sacrifice? Who do we sacrifice?
Come on, use your head. Someone who dies no matter what happens? If he's gonna die anyway, then we might as well have it to help out Hinamizawa. When you say he dies no matter what, you're talking about me, aren't you? I knew all along. I knew you had some very important role in this story, Jirdo-san. We'll get you to play your part. Thinking the engine of the bike made contact with gases in the swamp, exploded, and released the gas. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Something like that happening. And with that, we have a blueprint for getting a nice, happy, good ending, don't we? Let's give it all a try since we have time. Everyone involved, come over here. First, we stop Uncle Hojo, whose lover ran out on him, from returning on to Hinamizawa. Hiya, my name's Uncle Hojo. He has no portrait, so I'm standing in. He has no portrait? He doesn't. I'm pretty sure he has a portrait, doesn't he? I'm so lonely and blue because my lover ran away. Time to go back to Hinamizawa, lock up Satoko-chan and haha, raise her to a maidservant. Why don't I take my motorbike back? I'll just put in the key and click. Click? Kaboom!
Judgment. To ashes and dust shall you return. To Satoko-chan, don't you think that was a little too much gunpowder? Hope Coach is alright. It's wet.
Next, we stop Oishi from showing up. Me this time? My name is Kurado Oishi. A hot, good-looking middle-aged man who looks like blues singer. Kaboom! Not the AC car!
Beep. Judgment for you.
And lest we forget, a follow-up service for my sister. Come here, big sis. Here's a cute little doll for you. Oh, how nice! I'm not really understanding this. And finally, we must quell Yashiro-sama's anger. Then will Kerr last actor please show up? Please come up? Die him fast, wrap him up and hang him. They'll sink for 3 days, right? I'm not that patient. Let's just get it over with. And with that, the case has been closed. The end.
Oh no, all of a sudden this arm of mine is glowing with an awesome power. This pile of corpses is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, where's Keiichi in all this? Keiichi's not even here.
Huh? It's the phone. Hello? Oh, Keiichi-kun? Thanks for all your work. Yeah, looks like you're all having a roaring old time. And yet here I am, busy with reading the scenario for the next story. Whatever. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll let you off without any teasing. Is she on there? Can you put her on?
What? You're going to announce it here? I wanted to keep it a secret for a while longer, but okay. That's Keiichi talking. Okay. Okay.
A secret between Shion-san and Keiichi-san?
What do you mean? Nobody told me about this. Nobody? Okay, Kei-chan, let's say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3. The main character of the next story will be Shion Sonozaki. What? Yes, so that's that. The one topping the popularity chart since her first appearance. The late appearing younger sister of twins has been the pattern of things ever since the days of TH. I have no idea what that means, and it doesn't matter. Anyway, I've been fired from my main character post for once. The rumors are right, I might even get a portrait finally? Yahoo! Well, portraits of K-chan would be a big waste of disk space. That's so mean. If we couldn't all fit on one disc, there's a pretty high chance he'd be the first one dropped.
Are you okay with this, Shion-san? The main character always meets some terrible fate in the end.
Cuckoo. Well, until now. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen next time.
With Tatarigoroshi, we're already in the third game of the Higruashi When They Cry series. The first half presented a lot of strange and exciting mysteries, but starting next time, the mysteries will start to be solved in the second half, marking the start of the investigation arc. Temporary name.
That means it'll be a thrilling story where I become a detective and solve all these crazy unfair mysteries. You'd all better think of good signature phrases, like, "You, sir, are the criminal." It won't happen, ever. You'll get too close to the three family secret, be imprisoned, and then get tortured. You're a shoo-in to meet a violent, unnatural death. Sis, should I say the same to you? Are you mentally prepared for me to see through all your mysteries and secrets, then you've apologized to me and commit suicide?
No chance of a Yashiro-sama's curse for me, is there?
Anyway, the new story to begin in the second half, temporarily called Miyakashi, or Eye-Opening, is currently undergoing diligent development. We should be able to unveil it to you all in the near future, so I hope you all look forward to it.
Onikakushi, Watanagashi, and Tatarigoroshi? What truths will y'all come up with after reading these stories? Or will you just come up with more questions instead of theories? Rena has no clue either.
For all of you warriors who never yielded to these three mysteries and kept on fighting, we present you with one final scenario as thanks for your enthusiasm, one which we never originally planned on giving you. Please enjoy it. What? Another scenario? Oh, they're talking about the final chapter. Welp, that's it. But Tatarigoroshi. That's all. Cool. I always love the after parties. That's fun. But can't believe it's freaking over, huh? The spookiness. Now we just have to watch the anime part. Nah, the Miyakashi was like the temporary name for chapter 4. So they probably changed it. And then gave that name to a different arc. But that's going to be it. Who knows when we're going to start chapter 4. Or we might start a different visual novel I'm thinking about. So who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Okay. That's all. That's all. Join the server if you want to watch freaking Higurashi with us. We'll probably watch it after this, I guess. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.